Hello, everybody, and welcome to Angels News. Today is July 13, and it's now 8:30 in the evening here in Israel. I don't know what time it is for you, but I'm waiting for you to join me. And as usual, we have started every Tuesday to have here the Angels News. If it's your first time, so I'll explain just in a few words what it means. Every Sunday, we receive the weekly message, and when we receive the weekly message, we actually receive it through channeling. I receive the message through channeling and I record it and then I put it here on Facebook, and you can watch it on Facebook. But Angels News is actually a live where you can join me and we can both ask questions and understand better what the weekly message was and how to take it into action. Because in the weekly message, they give us the message, okay, we can understand the message. Sometimes we even understand what we need to do with it, but it doesn't mean that we can take it into actions. A lot of times there are a lot of questions that people ask me after the weekly message. And this is the reason that we have this live. It's called Angels News. And it's going to be every Tuesday evening in Israel, 8:30 Israel time. So what time it is for you now? This is the time for the Angels News every Tuesday. And in this live, we can ask more questions. We can understand better how to take the message into action, because this is the reason we are here. We're not here only spiritually. We're here doing things into taking things into action and taking it to the ground everything here in this earth, in this lifetime. It's so important not to just stay spiritual and to really know how to take the messages and use them. So if you remember last week, and if you haven't seen Angels News last week, I really recommend you to go there, because we talked about so many things, and we talked about this amazing time that we are in now and the amazing time that we are going to be in the next 3 months. And we talked about a little bit about September and the process we will go on when we'll get there. But we also talked, here I see Anna joining me. Hi, Anna. Good evening to you too. So we've talked about the process that we're going through, and we learned that there are three circularized process. That is, the first one is learning, the second one, do you remember, is doing, and the third one is being. And we said that it's difficult for a lot of people to be in that being stage, but it's a very, very important stage, because that's the stage we actually do the most, the biggest jump in our spiritual growth and our personal development process. It's a very, very important process, and it's a very important stage to be in. So today I want to take us another step forward. And if you've seen the weekly message that we received on Sunday, we talked on the weekly message. I say we, I transferred the weekly message. They talked through me. The message came from Angel Gabriel, and he said that at this time that we are in, he wanted us to learn how to be in freedom, and we can find the opportunities that the world has to offer us. When we are in a certain point, which he called as the 0 point. He called it as the point that everything come into that dot, and from that dot we can actually see all the opportunities around us. So if he told us to look about a straight line, and if you start walking on that line, there's only 3 options. You can either keep on walking, go back, or stand at the same place. But when you're standing on the same place, there is a place there that you are stopping, and all the straight lines are coming into the same dot. And at this point, when you are there, this is called the balance point. This is the 0 point. And when you are there, you can see all the opportunities around you. And when we can see all the opportunities around us, we can understand that the opportunities that are waiting for us are beyond our thinking, beyond what the mind can even imagine. It's much bigger from what our imagination can even think about, what we can imagine. And the opportunities that we are looking for, or we don't even know that we are looking for them because we don't know they exist, they are over there, beyond our thinking, beyond what the mind can imagine, beyond the things that we can tell ourselves that we want, or we can not even ask from God and the angels to bring it to us, because it's beyond what we can imagine and what we can ask. So when we want to see those opportunities, and when we want to find out why we are here, and how am I going to bring into action and fulfill my life mission, if I don't know all the opportunities that I have, I can only imagine, I can only hope for what I can think. And what I want is not only the things that I can imagine, only the things that are in my head, that I know that exist in this universe. But there is so much more. And for us to see those opportunities is to actually say that I am here at this point now, and find a balance, find a way that we are balanced and all the opportunities are open for us. And then we can hear them, we can see them, and we can choose them as well. So how do we get to that point? So he gave us actually an exercise for that. He told us you need to stare at least every day, at least for 3 or 4 minutes, every day, stare at the dot, at the point, in just wherever you want, just to choose a place to stare at, on the wall, or maybe maybe even the ceiling. Choose a dot and just stare. Now I asked, can I use meditation? And he said, no, don't use meditation, because if you use meditation, what happens is normally I use music, and then the music affects what I'm thinking about. The music's vibration actually affects me. So they said, no, don't listen to music. Just be open to be at that point without listening to anything, without expecting anything to come to you, without asking any question. Just be present, be at that moment. And when we are staring, and by the way, kids do it all the time. I remember that I used to do it when I was a kid, and people usually did like this to me. Hey, are you here? Wake up. And then I was shake out of it. And then what he said, no, I want you to stare, and I want you to get into the point that it's getting all fuzzy, and you don't see the dot anymore, and you don't hear any noises around you anymore, and you don't ask for anything, and you don't wish to hear anything. You're just there, just staring at a point, and everything get fuzzy. Just stay there. And at that point, when we are in there, the opportunities that are around us can show up. We can find them. We can suddenly hear them, or feel them, or know them. And he said he wants us to exercise being in that point as many times as possible during the day, because that's where the opportunities lay. And when we think about the new world that we want to create, we still don't know how to create it, because the only thing that we know is our old habits, our old way of thinking. And the opportunities are beyond our way of thinking, what we used to think. So he said he wants us to practice that. And he is the angel Gabriel, as I said before. And then they asked me to talk to you about what we've talked last week, and how it all comes together to go through the next phase in this process. So if you remember, the last time they want us to find a way to find where we are in this process. Are we in the learning phase? Are we in the doing phase? Or are we in the being phase? And I asked you, where do you think you are? And they told us last week, they want us to practice freedom, a freedom of movement, of thinking, of creating. And now they want us to know, how do we use the freedom in each phase? So let's start with, what does it mean to feel free? What does it mean to feel freedom when we are in the learning stage? So when we are in the learning stage, the first thing that comes into our mind is, okay, I'm going to a course, I'm doing some kind of process. So I'm not free because I'm doing that thing. What they want us to experience when we are in the learning process, in the learning phase, they want us to experience freedom to say, I don't know. Okay, Many times we go to meet someone, to learn something, to a workshop, and a person tell us something, and we think in our head, I know that. Why is he explaining it to me? I know that. I've heard that, been there, done that. Okay, we sit next to someone, he talks to us, and we think, okay, I see his body language, I already know how to react to them. I want to answer already. I already decide how I feel about that person, and I'm not listening with my ears open. Okay? I'm not really there. I'm not really learning. I'm just deciding what I'm going to listen to and what I'm not going to listen to, even before I have listened and ask myself, what do I have to learn from this situation now? So the freedom in the learning phase is to know that I can learn from each person, that I can learn from anything, and to ask myself, how can I empty my cup that it will not be full and let it be filled again with new things? How am I going to learn new things from that situation that I'm in now? There is a phrase in Hebrew. Um, I don't know exactly how to translate it, but it's a phrase that is taken from Tehillim book. Um, and they say there that even the wisest man can learn from everything. So he can learn from a child, he can learn from the ground, from the grass, from the birds. Okay, we know that the King Solomon was the smartest person from all people in the world. That's what they say about him. And he used to talk to birds and to animals, and he learned from them as well. That's why he was so smart, because he was able to hear them and talk to them. So when we want to be in freedom, feel freedom in the learning phase, we want actually to ask ourselves, how can I learn from that situation? I'm not going to decide anything. I'm not going to say I already know that. I'm going to be open. I'm going to empty my cup so I can receive new information. How can I learn from that situation? How can I learn from that person? What information, what new things, new feelings even can I experience when I'm here learning in this phase? I'm open myself. I feel free to learn anything, new experience. So that's the freedom that they want us to exercise when we are in the learning phase. When we are in the doing phase, okay, the part that a lot of us love to do, a lot of people love to learn, either to learn or to do, but less to be. So when we are in the when we are in the doing process, the doing phase, we want to feel freedom by being accurate. And we talked about it last week. We said that when we are in the doing phase, a lot of us just looking straight ahead and walking there, and we decide about the goals that we have, and we're just walking straight there. And we are not stopping to ask, am I accurate in my action? Am I still going to the right place that I want to go? And to be in freedom in the doing phase is to stop and be accurate. Every end of the day, I write, what have I learned about myself today? It's an exercise that I do for a few years already. I had a little break now, and I went back into that. And yesterday, I wrote that what I learned from that day is that sometimes I need to stop the doing, accurate myself, and then go back to doing. So it's just stop, accurate, go. And that's exactly the thing, that when we are overdoing, we are not paying attention to the way, if the way is still right for us, if we're still on the right path, if we don't need to change our actions. Maybe something has changed. And to feel freedom in the doing phase is to stop and ask that question, and to know that if I stopped and asked that question and I will change my way, it is okay. Okay, it doesn't mean anything bad about me. It doesn't mean that I'm not doing what I need to do. It just means that I'm listening. And when we are in the doing, overdoing, like a lot of us are going there, I know I'm one of them. So a lot of times we are not free to hear the guidance. And I can tell you that, and when I have a lot of things that I want to do, and things that I'm excited about, like now I have a lot of things that I'm working on and I'm really excited about. And when I want to do them, when I sit into meditation, suddenly I'm not calm. I can't do the meditation. I feel after 2 minutes, I feel that I want to finish the meditation and go. And then sometimes I actually do that, and then I receive a message, no, sit down, sit back into the meditation. I said, no, but I'm calm, I'm okay, I can go. And they said, no, you're not doing the meditation because you're not calm. You're not doing the meditation because something bad is happening. No, you're doing the meditation because it makes you accurate, because it helps you be in that balance point, in the point that everything is equal, in the 0 point where you can see the new opportunities, where you can find what you're doing right and what you need to change because you're not accurate there. Where are you putting too much energy and you shouldn't put your energy there, and you need to shift your energy to another place. And when I'm doing meditation, that is when I'm in the balance point. And this is the meaning of being free in the doing point, the doing phase. It means that we need to check if we are accurate and we are not putting a lot of energy in the wrong place. Okay, so this is the freedom in the doing phase. Now let's talk about in the being phase. So a lot of people says that, well, I'm in the being phase, I'm not doing anything, so obviously I'm free. No, it's nothing like that. First of all, we're not talking about be free like taking a vacation, okay? It's not that. It's not going to a vacation and feel free there. Go there, feel free, have a good time. We're talking about life itself. We're talking about a day-to-day and everything, the things that we do every day. How do I feel free when I'm in the being process, in this phase of my life right now, in these months that I'm in now? How do I feel free there? And because a lot of people think that this phase of being is a waste of time, and they have a lot of criticism about that phase, they are really not feeling free. They're feeling exactly the opposite, because guilt is not freedom. Trust me. So, how do I feel free at that time? We need to remember, and we talked about it last week, that on this stage, this phase of being is the phase that we make the biggest leap of spiritual growth, this biggest leap of personal development. And when we are in this phase, what we want to do is we want to expand our boundaries. And how do we expand our boundaries? We try new things that we haven't tried before. And we want to see if it's good for us or not. If it's not, we can go back. Okay, we don't have to. We don't have to keep the boundaries so open if it feels too much, but we want to try new things that we haven't tried until now. So I'm going to give you a few examples. Okay, one example, and I gave this example today, and someone told me it was exactly the accurate example for her. So I'm going to give you the same example now. So one example is, for instance, if you're a grandmother. Here in Israel, it's now the holidays. It's the big vacation, summer vacation. So every mom knows that the summer vacation for the kids is not a summer vacation for the parents. They need to work less, be more with the kids, and it's not so easy. They need to find ways to solve that situation. Many times the grandparents help. And if let's say you're a grandmother, and as a grandmother, you used to take to help with the kids, with your grandchildren, every Tuesday for 3 hours, let's say for 5 to 8. Okay, and then comes summer vacation, and your daughter is asking you, "Please, mom, can you help some more?" And you are in the phase now of being, and you want to expand your boundaries, so you can try and say, "Okay, let's see. Maybe if I'll take one grandson for an hour on Friday, and I will have a one-on-one time with him. How will that feel like?" Okay, maybe I will go with them to do something to do as well. Maybe to go with them to the pool, or to do something that I love to do, to go to a musical. Maybe I will try to do something different from the way that I did until now. Okay, maybe I'll experience new feelings that I haven't experienced until now with that grandchild, because I've opened my boundaries, because I want to try new things in my life. Okay, let's say if you're doing sports and you're used to run 3 times a week in the evening. So now that you are in the being phase, you want to try something new. So instead of running, maybe you will try kickbox. Maybe you will try workout in the morning. Maybe you'll try to do it something completely different that you haven't tried until now, maybe even water sport. You haven't tried until now because you want to find out new things about yourself that you haven't experienced until now. You want to enjoy new abilities that you haven't used until now because you were in these specific boundaries, and now we are expanding the boundaries. So you might try SAP and say, wow, it's amazing. Okay, I find out new things about myself, new emotions about myself, and I want to keep it. And you might try it and say, no, it's not for me. So I'm going to close these boundaries again, and I'm going to try something new, maybe to try something. Art craft, okay, maybe painting, and then you can find another way to express yourself in painting, and it's something you haven't done before. So when we are in the being phase, what we want to do is to try new things, and then we will go back into the learning phase. And remember that it's the learning, the doing, the being, and again the learning. So you are expanding your boundaries in the in the being phase, and you learn new things that you love about yourself, and then you go back into the learning phase and you learn more about it. Okay, and you experience more from it. And when you are in the being phase and you expand your boundaries, you can experience new emotions, you can experience new things that you haven't felt before, and you now want to explore more. And when you will be in the learning phase, you will explore them and you will give them more meaning, and you'll find out new things about yourself that then you'll take to into action in the being, in the doing phase. So it's very, very important to feel free to open your boundaries and not to be afraid of them, to be in the being phase and not to be afraid of it, to feel that you give yourself the freedom to be in that phase without criticizing, like we talked about last week, without criticizing yourself, and really be in that phase and feel that you're giving yourself that gift of expanding your boundaries and learning things about yourself, and feel new, experience new things that you never tried before. Maybe travel somewhere you never traveled before, just to see new sights. So when we are in the being phase, we want to experience new things with all of our senses. We want to see new things. We want to smell new smells. We want to taste new tastes. We want to hear new music and new sounds that we never heard before. We want to touch things that we never touched before. So we want to experience new things, expand the boundaries of our senses as well. And then in the learning phase, when we'll go back to the learning phase, we will say, okay, I've expanded my boundaries now. I can receive now more information, because if I've taken this cup and I made it bigger, because I've expanded my boundaries, so now when I'll go back into the learning phase, I can learn more because I have a bigger cup now, so I can actually contain more information and I can learn more things about myself. And then when I'll go into the doing process, again, I will have more abilities because my cup is expanded, and I learn more things, and I have more tools now that I can use, more abilities that I can use in the doing process. So I hope that you can see how this cycle actually help us expand our awareness and our consciousness, because the more we go through these phases, we move from one phase into the other, and we are doing this circle, we're actually expanding our knowledge, we're expanding our tools, we're expanding our cup, we're expanding our consciousness. And when we are expanding our consciousness, we find out new abilities that we can bring into action in this world. And if I'm looking at it from from their perspective, they're showing me that the phase of being is a very spiritual phase, and this phase of doing is a very grounding phase, and the learning is kind of in between. It's the phase that they tell us, take the spiritual and start feel it in your body, and then ground it in your in this earth that you are in now, in your ground, in your earth, and just this cycle is bringing us all the time to spiritual into action, giving, receiving the spiritual information, putting it into action, grounding it into the ground here in this lifetime in our body. So first of all, the spirit comes to us into our body, it translated into action from our body, and then we put it in the ground. We ground it to that information into the ground, and then again we go to the spiritual, receive more information, pass it through our body, and we are the one that's grounding it into the earth. And it's an important process. Wow. We've talked about a lot of things. I see almost our time is almost up, so I'm just going to remind you one last thing that is so important. Remember that the opportunities, I start with that, the opportunities for us to receive the things we want, create the world that we want, are bigger from what we can imagine. They are beyond our imagination. They are beyond our consciousness, that the awareness that we have now. So in order for us to get there and see the opportunities, what we need to do is to come back to the balance point, to the 0 point, stare at something, let it get fuzzy, stop hearing the voices, stop trying to ask for something, just be. So when we are practicing that, we will find out there are a lot more opportunities there around us than we can imagine, and new ideas will come to us. And they say they say that at first, when a new idea comes to us, we are going through a phase of being excited and at the same time being afraid of it. So they say it's okay. It's the same hormones. Be excited, be afraid, but do it anyway. So remember that when we are in that 0 point and we receive new information, we receive new ideas, we receive those new opportunities that are around us, we might get scared. We might think that it's too small to take them into action, but they say it's okay. This is the being process. You will have the phase of learning. And when you'll be in the learning phase, you will know how to take it into action. So don't be afraid of it. Just take it to the next level, because we are here. If you remember, it's a spiral. So we are going back to the same place every time, but we're going there from a higher perspective. We're raising up our awareness. Our consciousness is raising up and up and up. So it's a spiral and we're going up. And if we're not here and we're doing the cycle, so when I go back into learning, I'm in a higher place, I'm in a higher perspective, I'm in a bigger consciousness. I can receive more information, I can bring more information into action. And this is the reason we are here on this lifetime, all of us together here learning this process, because they are transferring the information for us. They don't need the information for them. We need the information. Wow, so many good things that they told us. Thank you, the angels, for this information, and thank you everyone that is watching. I haven't said until now, please share this live and feel free to write to me. And I've talked about the process of opening to unconditional love. I've talked about it, I think, on Sunday or last week. I don't remember already. So there is a process that is called opening to unconditional love. It's a process of opening to love to myself. I will open the process in about a week or two. So I'm telling you now because people have asked me about it, and I will put the link for it and you can register, and you can see all the information there. In the meantime, please pass it on. And if there are people that you think that will enjoy this information, it might help them, please tag them, send them this live, because the information is not for me, it's for everyone. they're channeling through me so we can give it away to everyone else to enjoy. So thank you for being with me, and please share. And I'll see you on Sunday with the weekly message. If you want to receive the weekly message to your WhatsApp, just write to me and your full name, and I will send you the weekly message. So I'm going to write my number here, and you will see it, and you can send it to me. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Bye.